Christopher Nolan released his latest film, Dunkirk, on July 24, 2017, which means Christopher Nolan will also be all over the awards show circuit this year. Dunkirk is a unique telling of the miraculous Operation Dynamo, which saved 300,000 British troops from the beaches of Dunkirk during World War II. So, will this movie take home the big prize? Why is it a historical film mired in controversy? And is this movie just fun to watch? I'm Ben Davies, this is Pure Hollywood. Christopher Nolan wrote and directed Dunkirk. It was made for about $100 million and grossed over $500 million worldwide. It is important to note that I think Christopher Nolan is the best storyteller of our time. What he may lack in action and spectacle, he is a titan when it comes to narrative, reality, and letting the human mind be a character in all of his films. It is awesome. So before I go further, spoilers ahead. My viewer review is a 3 out of 5. Now remember, I break my movie reviews into several categories. This is just for the general audience that goes into a movie to be entertained, not knowing what it's about, what are they going to think, how are they going to leave. That's basically my viewer review. It's not as much of an enjoyable film as, say, The Dark Knight, Inception, or Interstellar. However, you will still be blown away through much of this movie. One of the strengths for the viewers just sitting there is going to be the scope of the film. However, if you did not see Dunkirk in theaters, you missed out on a large portion of it because this movie is shot over 70% in IMAX. It's absolutely incredible when you see the screen like that. However, when you see it on DVD now, it's going to cut off like a good proportion of what Christopher Nolan actually shot. But what is amazing about this technique for the viewers is you get to see such a giant picture of these intimate moments. You literally feel like you're suffocating in this thing. You feel like you're inside of a documentary film almost when you get into a lot of these sequences. It's absolutely incredible. The score by Hans Zimmer is absolutely powerful, and it's interwoven through some of the most incredible shots captured with IMAX using these practical effects, the real planes, these ships, all this kind of stuff on screen. The main reason why this movie won't entertain all the audience, not everyone is going to sit down with this movie and enjoy it, is because it lacks typical story elements that we do often enjoy. There's no real love or romance in the movie or any person-to-person action sequences to speak of, and there is very little dialogue. You literally won't even know the names of almost every character when you walk out of the movie. My critic review is a 5 out of 5. This is a masterpiece. It's really that simple. However, will not win Best Picture or probably deserve it because of those reasons. However, I still think he could win Best Director or Best Screenplay because of how intricate and complex this whole thing is. And because Christopher Nolan is just that good. A story has never been told or shot like this before. For example, the movie is not about one person. It is about a moment in time. It accomplishes capturing a moment in time by showing the story in 3 different sequences that are also 3 different time periods. There is the mole, which is Dunkirk, and this is told through the time span of 1 week. There's also the sea, that is a time span of 1 day, and there is the air, which is a time span of 1 hour. It's crazy. By doing this, it is incredible because you see the war itself. War has to be seen through the eyes of the people there, but you can't capture everything because every scenario is so different. Every part of war is so unique. Another interesting aspect of this film is you never see the villains. You never actually see the German advance or the Germans. You get to see the back of them at one point at the very, very end of the movie. This is obviously intentional, and this is because it is clearly a commentary on war itself. You feel the simple and tremendous fear and frustration without a face. Much like most of the men in these kind of wars, you would most likely never fight them face to face and know who your enemy really is. It's this idea, it's this fear, it's this constant weight that you're carrying on yourself. Another element that highlights this movie as just a moment in time is the ending. How there's no real crescendo when these troops finally get to land. They're immediately hustled onto a train that is continuously moving forward. And it is so powerful because the war is not over. This was just a moment, and now these men have to move forward. There's no real heroes necessarily at the end of it. Another reason why I think this film may not win some major awards is because Christopher Nolan's movies are never that well received by these major award show category showcases. In fact, Christopher Nolan, even though his movies are absolutely incredible, has only been nominated for Best Picture 1 time in 2010, and that was Inception. He didn't win. There were also some huge complaints about this movie being whitewashed, and that Christopher Nolan intentionally left out people that were Muslim who fought in the war, Indians that were heroes in the war, which does not apply to this movie itself. Like I said, this was one moment in the war. Yes, the British Army had territories in North Africa and India, but they didn't enter the war till after Dunkirk. This was mainly the island population that was being brought back. I mean, you could go through all the old pictures of Dunkirk and you might find one person that wasn't an Anglican Brit. There's also complaints there weren't enough women in the movie, which obviously in World War II, there weren't any women serving on the battlefield, and that's really what this movie was about. And so they were offended that they left this out. I don't know. And I'm glad Christopher Nolan made these choices because it always bothers me when filmmakers try to appease the mood of the now when they're trying to tell these stories that are forever. These movies are permanent once you get them out there. Film is literally forever, and it should be the best version of your story possible. If you remember in Darkest Hour, a great movie that I also praised when I did my review earlier, I loved it, but there was one character that did feel out of place, and that was Winston Churchill's assistant. I kept thinking, why is this girl that had just met Winston Churchill basically being brought into these bunkers that are top secret? And why is Winston Churchill confiding in this girl and not his wife, who is a really interesting and awesome character they could have focused on? And I found out why. The secretary, Elizabeth, is based on a real Elizabeth who was Winston Churchill's secretary, but not until a year after these events took place. So she would have never been involved in all these crazy situations. And when you do this, you're trying to tell a story that is supposed to be realistic and grounded like that. It throws you out where you cannot believe that this would actually happen. It just breaks up some of your narrative. I'm not saying there shouldn't be any girls in the movie at all. Like, I would have loved to see Winston Churchill's wife be more involved in the movie. She's a great character, interesting historical figure. But they decided to add this girl just to get some brownie points in the now, and I think it hurts the movie as a whole. Faith and values, I'm going to give Dunkirk a 4 out of 5. There was a very strong theme of sacrifice strung throughout this movie. The citizens rallying together into their boats to risk their lives to go across the English Channel and save these men trapped in the beach is absolutely heroic and amazing to watch. The sacrifices made on the mall as well as in the sky, with Tom Hardy's character sacrificing himself to save countless others below him. It is magical and powerful to watch. What I also loved about this movie was the way they portrayed the enemy. Yes, the villains of this film are literally the Nazis that are moving forward, pressing forward, killing and destroying parts of Europe. But in this film, the greatest enemy itself is fear. You see this a lot in the men in the mole. The deserting, the lying, the doing anything you possibly can to save yourself, to put on other uniforms, to try to escape the horrors, the constant fear of death that is weighing on every single person on this beach. But it is most clear with Cillian Murphy's incredible performance in the sea part of the movie. Cillian Murphy plays a soldier suffering from shock and PTSD from a ship that had just sunk in the ocean. And because of his fear, Cillian Murphy accidentally kills this innocent boy on one of the ships, saving him. However, the brave citizen who's driving the boat, the old man, knows that Cillian Murphy character is suffering, and he sees him slowly start to get over his fears. He helps the other men around the boat. And he refuses to tell Cillian's character that the boy has died because he knows it will literally kill him. How it wasn't really his fault, it was the fear that had taken over him that he was subjected to because of the PTSD and the shock and the horrors of war. It is really a powerful scene and moment in this movie. So if you haven't seen it, please go check it out for Oscar season. We'll see how it does when no one takes the red carpet here in a few weeks. I'm Ben Davies, this is Pure Hollywood. Alright, if you like this video and others like it, please consider becoming a premium member to the Rebel. That way you'll have first access to Pure Hollywood and the entire Rebel lineup.